Within our souls, we all possess a dream which lay dormant until intrigue strikes its match and sets the torch we carry ablaze, leading us down the path of the unknown towards our dreams. As coaches who are former high-performance athletes, our personal experiences have shown us that a coach, parent, or even a fellow athlete have the potential to either illuminate or extinguish the dreams of young athletes. Nothing is lost from the candle which lights another. We are here to share our stories and our passion to illuminate the champion within, empowering coaches, parents, and athletes to keep the flame of their dreams burning eternally. You are listening to Illuminating Champions with Michal and Ashley Anton.
Welcome to another episode of Illuminating Champions. For our first-time listeners, my name is Ashley, and I'm here with my husband, Michal.
Hey, how are you guys?
We also have a very special guest. He's our personal coach and our brand artist. His name is Mark Patterson. Hi,
Hello.
Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Hi.
So today's episode is entitled Becoming a Limited Edition, and it's all about celebrating uniqueness.
Like my watch.
Uniqueness within athletes, uniqueness within coaches, and really just creating this energy of positivity and pride within yourself and becoming the best version of oneself and how to promote that within your sport environment. For us, for those who have never listened, we are gymnastics coaches, so we're primarily going to be referring to gymnastics, but of course this is important in every sport and I think in just every single aspect of life. So Mark, as our coach, who's someone who really helps us celebrate our own uniqueness, is going to help us highlight this topic. So why don't you get us started off, Mark?
Sure. Well, defining uniqueness is what I do. Is my core coaching thing as a brand consultant. So when you look at the world, there are almost 8 billion people out there. And every single one of them is unique. What is amazing is that most people don't feel unique, and most people try and fit in. So, and what's even more interesting is in gymnastics, as you've taught me, every event you have to do certain things very specifically, even to the turn of the head or the pointing of the toes. So, how do you find uniqueness in a sport where you have to do something so specifically? So it's a really interesting challenge, but it's something that every person has. So I just would like to ask you, how do you see that uniqueness in each person so young, and how do you help them bring it out?
Sure.
One second.
Go
Before
ahead.
she's answering, I have to tell you something. You see, you said that almost 18 billion people on this planet, right?
8 billion, yeah.
8 billion.
8 billion, yes. Then each of them is unique. But you know, the biggest problem that we have in this world is that the majority of people doesn't feel that way. Understand? They don't have that uniqueness feeling about themselves. That's why you have so much problems, like especially like psychological problem with teenagers, you know, from alcohol, drugs, suicidal. We talked in the past about those things a little bit. You know, that's why, because they don't feel unique. They don't feel special. And that's why it's very easy to go down road with dark thoughts and dark feelings about yourself, because you don't feel that you have something to offer. You're just like everybody else, you know, when you are unique. Like everybody is unique in their own way.
So working with children and realizing that we live in a society where this is now a large problem, it's very important to us as coaches for not just their athletic success, but for their success in life, to help teach them that they are unique and that is what makes them special. And they do have something important to offer the world that no one else can offer just the way that they can, because there's only one version of them, and then to get them to be that best version of themselves. So you had mentioned young gymnasts, when they're first starting off, if they're going through a program which is called compulsories, they do have the same exact routine as every single other competitor. But one thing that we always tell them is that your routine's identical to every single other person, technically, down to, like you said, which direction you turn your head, what you're looking at, the position of your hands, everything. But you need to stand out. And they kind of look at you initially like you're crazy, because it's like, how do you want me to stand out when my routine's the exact same as everyone else? And it's not just you stand out because you've executed the technique with great form and near perfection on the skill. It's your presence and the way that you just hold your posture and your energy that allow you to stand out in that type of situation. You know, you need to make an entrance when you walk up to the apparatus that you're going to be competing upon. So even though everyone else has the same routine, how are you going to make yourself memorable? And then they start thinking about, oh, how am I going to do that? Well, I like to stand with my chin up like this, and I like this facial expression, or I hold my fingers in this specific way. You know, that those little teeny tiny nuances can be different, and then allows the gymnast to stand out. The other thing we have in
One second, you
go
see
ahead.
here, I'm gonna say a short story. I'm hoping I'm saying it right first, because it's a long time ago when it happened. Has to do with Bella, Caroli, and Marta, right? When they was coaching Nadia.
I knew you were
right?
going to say this.
Everybody at the time will do a backward cover and a cartwheel. Those were the hardest tricks, and maybe a back flip. But they always taught Nadia to put Nadia in the routine. Like, you're going to execute that routine. And maybe especially the compulsory routine. But everybody else is going to execute the same routine, the same trick. But how Nadia Comaneci is going to do that cartwheel? How she makes that cartwheel her cartwheel. Understand? And that's a very good tool to have, to take things that are common and you put your signature on it. Understand? Like, you make them yours. You make them look like that's you. Yeah. People can remember. Like, look at Baryshnikov. He was very good at ballet guy, right? He was very good at turns. A lot of guys in ballet can do a lot of turns. But Baryshnikov's ways of doing those turns was so specific that you will see the turn and you knew it's Baryshnikov. You didn't have to see his face. You see the way his body move in that turn. The style of it, understand? And that's something you have to develop. And you have it in painting, you have it in music, you have it in many things in life, that someone can do the same things like everybody else, but put a unicity into it. You know?
I think Nadia used to say that she called that Nadia's touch.
Yes, you put the Nadia's touch on the routine. That I tell my girls in the gym all the time, actually. That's how I coach them. You know, I always tell them, like, I want to see you. Like, yeah, I teach you a double layout and I tell you the technicality. When we talk in the past episode, when we talk about feeling, right? And I told you, like, yeah, I give you the technique part of hands up, do this, do that, but I want you to make the movement your way. I want that double layout to look like you, like how you feel that double layout. Like, I want to see that. I don't want to see like a mechanic double layout like everybody else. Understand? And you see it in gymnastics when you watch, especially at the high level. For example, if you watch the boys high bar final at the last World Championships, I think the guy is from China was in the high bar final, and he does a Kachev straight body over the bar, goes boom, straight, high, but he brings his hands down to his hips and then he goes and catch the body. You know what I mean? Like, it's an extra. Doesn't give a difficulty, but gives an impression. Understand? Yeah. And then the judge looks at it, it's like, oh, wow, I like that. Understand? Then people are gonna remember, even the audience in the arena, when they leave the arena and they go home, they're gonna talk about the third place. I think the guy actually got bronze medal, but he was so spectacular in his execution that people are gonna remember him maybe better than the first place. Understand?
I think just,
and that's that's the power of unicity.
Yeah, I think you know, for kids, just teaching them through sports that they have this power of being their own best version of themselves, being a role model for somebody else, and, you know, making an impression and realizing that they're going to be remembered a certain way. You know, they can create their own persona and they can decide, how are people going to remember me when they watch me? And that's a really powerful and vast thought to have as a little 5-year-old child. But when you start helping them realize that, they do become empowered, they do become confident to perform in front of people, because they want to show, like, look at me, I'm special, I'm someone, I can be somebody that someone else aspires to be like, but put their own spin on it. I mean, in our gym, we always are pointing out, good examples of athletes or elite athletes, because it's good for gymnasts that are young to watch gymnastics, to see where they can
sometimes
lead.
It's not the best ones.
But it's good to see stylistically, different gymnasts. But we never allow them to say, I want to do this exactly like this gymnast. Like we have a little one that she loves, Suni Lee, and
I actually call her Suni.
Yeah, like she buys all her leotards.
I call her baby Suni.
She looks pretty similar to Suni Lee. She loves her, but
her father is Korean.
But
and the mother is American.
But she says sometimes, like, I'm gonna do this like Suni Lee, and I tell her, like, no, I want you to do it better than Suni Lee. I want you to do it like you, when you can become better than Suni Lee one day. And she kind of just started to click, like, I could actually be famous like Suni Lee and have someone else be like, I want to be like me,
But you see, that's the secret. It's like at a young age, that's why sports are good. We go back again to like kids participating in sports at a young age, in a competitive sports, not just recreational, but competitive. And teach them to, you look up to someone who is already famous, right? You have what's the word?
An idol.
Idol, right? No, don't have an idol. Be your own idol. Understand? Teach them. You look at someone who did something very good, and you are like, oh, one day I want to be like Ali Reisman, because we talk about girls gymnastics. That's fine. You want to get to that level, but be you. Understand? Be yourself. Idol.
Because if you succeed in being just like them, all you are is a really successful copy. And the word you're looking for.
And maybe not, you're never going to be, actually. But you're never going to be, because you're never going to be really fully satisfied, because it's not about you. You look at the image that you try to achieve, but it's not who you are. You have to be you. Understand? Like for me, I never have idols in gymnastics. Even though in my country, we grew up with the biggest names in gymnastics, right? Nadia Comaneci, Dan Greco. Like, I look at those athletes, even Nadia, like I look at it, I admire it, but I didn't have them as an idol. The only idol I had was myself. Every time I dream about me being to the point where Nadia Comaneci is going to come and ask me for a picture. Understand?
Right.
That's how I grew up. And that's how you have to teach the young generation to want to be them, the best. Understand?
They can take the example. But
yes, you admire.
They should be their own idol.
Don't make someone your idol. Be your own idol.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love this phrase too, because it's so empowering also, because then you're in full control of the person that you want to be, and you realize that impression that you can have upon someone else as well by aiming to be your own idol. I've said this before, we promote a lot being a role model in our gym. And that's why, because it's what do you want to be for other people to view you like a role model or idolize you. Then you become that.
1 second.
Go ahead.
You see, if you have an idol, let's talk like this. What's someone very famous? Like when Michael Jackson was alive and he was like very, very famous on the top of his game in the beginning, right? When he was a little younger. Everybody in the world, if you go to someone who is a Michael Jackson idol, right? You couldn't say nothing bad about Michael Jackson. The same thing with Elvis Presley. The same thing with like all those big actors and musicians, right? If you go to someone who idolized them, you couldn't even tell them something bad. Like even the person did something bad, they will not see it, understand? They will look at that person and treat that person very nice all the time, right? They will never swear at Michael Jackson, right? Then if you make yourself your own idol, you will never swear at yourself either. you'll never put yourself down. You're always going to keep yourself up here.
On a
Understand?
pedestal, yeah.
And yes, and you're going to look at yourself like a shiny object, right?
It's true.
And that gives you more power to and strength, psychological strength to perform well and achieve things in life. You know? Because if you look at yourself and just judge yourself all the time and tell yourself how bad you are, how stupid you are, how not good you are, how weak you are, you know, because people have to understand, like when someone criticizes themselves, they do it very badly. It's not like the nice words, you know, like when you see those depressed kids, young kids in school and in society today in general, those kids are very, very aggressive emotionally with themselves. Like if their thoughts will come out, you will ban them from talking. You know what I mean? That's how bad the words that they tell themselves are. Then if they turn that around and they make themselves their own idol, you will never insult your idol, right? Then if I'm my own idol, yes, I'm not going to make myself feel less than I think I should feel.
That's really good.
I'm not going to make myself have less value than I think I should have value. You know?
Be the best, most authentic person you can be and be someone else's idol. So
right,
yes,
right.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, make the person that you admire become your own idol. You know, but don't make yourself idols.
Right.
Well, for me, I mean, one of the things I enjoy the most coaching, because I get to focus on the artistic part of gymnastics, is once the children are in a certain level, if they're going like after that compulsory program into optionals, or if they start out in something different called Excel, where the routines are more customized to fit the athlete personally. They have, requirements they have to meet, but it's no longer an identical format of the routine. I love this because I get the honor of really helping them discover themselves and really, really showing them how unique they are and how special they are, because their routines are, they're custom made just for them. They're all choreographed differently to meet that athlete's personality and, help them shine in their most beautiful version of themselves. And I think sometimes this is where coaches lack, because it takes a lot of work to do that. Because, if you have 25 athletes on your team competing in a level like this, and now you need to make them 25 different floor routines and 25 different beam routines, it's a lot of work. It's very time consuming. A lot of thought has to go into it so that you can really reach each athlete and make sure that you're bringing out the best of them. And you see it a lot in competition that coaches don't do this. They'll create one routine and have the whole team do it, or two routines and have part of the team do
Coaches
it.
in America.
Go ahead. And yes. And it's like,
that's an American thing. That's just in America, where the coaches are, let's put it this way, are lazy.
Well, this is where you see that gymnastics is a business.
The problem is like, yes, they are lazy and they don't care about the kids. That's why they do it. Because if you care, then you give each girl individually the possibility to show herself. Understand?
Right.
But they are lazy. They bring in a choreographer, like an older girl is teaching the whole younger girls coming in the team routine, and everybody does it like a robot. But the program is not like that. It's not like you are in a compulsory program where the routine is the same.
Right.
Understand? You are in an optional program where each athlete should bring their value.
That's the point of the program.
I think that's the point of the whole program. And then when you watch a team doing the same routine from the beginning to the end, it's like, why? Like you just took something that was like optional, right? Like everybody should do their own thing, and you turn it into compulsory.
Right.
Then you take you take the unicity out of the kids.
Right.
Uniqueness out of the.
I think like gymnastics is one of the few sports that exists that you have this possibility of really displaying an art form and displaying uniqueness. If you're doing a team sport, even though players have different positions, it's not the same thing as watching a performance of a floor routine, or watching a dance like in ballet or in figure skating. Like those are artistic based sports. And it's one of the few times that
even
you
in the team sports like soccer, for example, you have a guy like Cristiano Ronaldo or like Messi, they're gonna stand out because they bring the art to a group activity where their uniqueness stands out. Understand?
Right. But I'm saying, like, since this is solely performance based, it's a choreographed dance really upon a floor exercise or upon a beam. It's one of the few chances that you have to display that to the world. And it's such an empowering thing for an athlete to discover themselves, that I really find it necessary for coaches to put in that extra effort, or bring someone in if they don't know how to choreograph it themselves. Bring in a professional that can do that and help your students feel that they're unique and they're special. Sometimes people wait and they don't choreograph things for certain levels, and then it's like you're not helping that child feel like they're worthy of having their own routine, and they are. And I really feel like strongly that that's a way that you uplift them.
And you create robots,
right?
Because they don't know themselves, they don't discover themselves. They don't know, like, oh, I like pirouettes, oh, I like split jumps, oh, I like round handspring tuck better than the round handspring layout, or I can flips more than I can twist, And the kids sit there and they just wait for the coach to tell them all the time, and they're not becoming intelligent on their own,
They don't discover their strengths.
Well, you continue to talk about how you work differently than other coaches, how you really are seeking how to teach these young athletes to discover their unique capability, physically, emotionally. And that's, I think, what makes a great coach. Then it's not easy. If you, like you said, you got 25 balls of clay that you want to help mold, that's very important. And it's hard to do.
Yeah. Yes. It is really hard to do. And that's why it's so important to really pay attention as a coach. And you need to first, of course, pick up on what the strengths of your athlete are.
But that's
and
the
you
coach,
need to tell them.
I say, it's the coach job all the time, that. And the coach has to allow the athlete to become unique, because look, in my country, when I grew up, was different than even today in my country, but was totally different than America. But we didn't have, you see, like that's my problem with unicity, being unique, understand, and show you are unique. I grew up in a country and in a system, in a communist socialist system, where we talk about the idol, right? I don't want to go politically, but the only idol in my country was the president, the dictator. Like, you understand that I don't want to have an idol, because you get to that point where you idolize someone, that person becomes everything for you. You have to idolize yourself. We was not allowed to idolize ourselves. We was not allowed to show uniqueness. Yes. Sorry. Like when I go to the gym and I do the training, everybody had to do the same trick, the same training. And if you didn't fall in that margin of, like, you are capable to do 20 push-ups, you are capable to do round handspring layout, you are capable to do this, like the same technique, the same execution, the same, you was not good enough. Remember, I told you in a past episode, we talk about me twisting on the floor, and my coach used to, like, beat me and berate me for it because I didn't twist like everybody else, and I always thought I'm not good at twisting till the time I got older and they couldn't hit me, and I just started doing it, and I was like, oh, okay, I can do 3 twists, 4 twists, you know what I mean? But growing up, I didn't know I'm good at it because I was not like everybody else, and I got berated by not being like everybody else,
Sure.
And even when I go to training, I used to hate it because I had to do everything like my teammates, But then my coach, once in a while, like, he would be like, I was 9 years old, I started doing triple dismount on the high bar, and my coach would spot me. I feel so special, and I still remember today the feeling of it. That's why I ended up competing at 13 years old or 14 years old. I was, like, I think one of the youngest in the world to do a triple dismount, of the high bar at the time.
Right.
But that's why, because I felt special. I was just me, like I had that freedom at that moment to choose to have that dismount. I said, yeah, I'm going to do it. I want to be unique, but I didn't fit in that system, understand? They always look at me in that system, and they always been like, oh, he's a rebel. He's like this. He's like that. I was not. I had my unicity. How you say?
How do you? I say
Uniqueness. How?
Uniqueness.
Uniqueness.
Yeah.
Sorry, my English. Uniqueness. But I never can show it.
Yeah.
Because if I show it, I didn't fit with everybody else, and that's why you don't want everybody to be the same.
Right.
You want to be unique. You want to teach kids to have their uniqueness. You want to teach them to allow that, not be afraid of their uniqueness.
Right. Some of them are.
You know what I mean? Embrace it. Whatever is unique about you, use it. That's your power. Understand?
Right.
Like that's your value. Like nobody else is like you, right? You have something that nobody else has it.
Right.
Then do it.
So,
I tell my girls in the gym sometimes, I have girls that are maybe struggling with gymnastics. Not maybe. They struggle sometimes, right? And I always tell them, like, listen, how many girls I pick up on something. For example, she has a physical inability to execute a trick, right? She's not flexible enough. But then she does the trick pretty good, but she cannot do a harder version of that trick, right? But then I look at her and I say, look, how many girls you see that have hips problems like you have medically, like legit you have some problems genetically, that do a handspring step out? And then they look at me, it's like, what? I said, yeah. What? No, you're not gonna, how many? Can you count 100? No. You are unique, you're special. Yeah, you don't do the layout step out, but you do the handspring step out. It's something unique about you, because someone else will not do even that. Understand? They will maybe have trouble putting their shoes on if they have the same problem like you have.
and then like Ashley said, once they learn that they are unique and they can do certain things, then it's a matter of appreciating that authenticity and then adding artistry to it. That's what makes it magic.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, say it.
Okay. I was gonna say it's true.
I talk a lot.
For me, like, I think for coaches, if you're working with even very beginner athletes, you cannot put it past them that it's important that they feel that they're unique and they're special and they have something to give to the world of gymnastics, because then it's like they start making a negative comparison of themselves with other people, that they're not worthy enough of something, or they're not good enough. Whereas like we've talked about in the past, making comparisons and using that as a tool, and it's important to be honest and notice,
educational tool.
Right, what someone else does well, and notice what you could aspire to do better, but to not make it feel bad about yourself. And then doing something simple like making, your most novice level gymnast their own beam routine, and just getting them to be comfortable on that beam and being like, oh, let's do this pose, and this is really sassy, and I want you to be like a queen on this, and use words that are like very uplifting and empowering. Then you see it in their whole demeanor, it changes. Like, oh yeah, I'm the queen of this beam. And and I can stand tall, and I can be proud, and I like to show that I'm powerful. And they get in this whole like act that overtakes them, and they become empowered. It's amazing to watch if you really, really take it in. And then they start to believe in themselves, and then their skills also come out better. But it's because they've grasped a hold of like their most inner self and celebrated it. It's not because they suddenly got better at their handstand or whatever else. They're just more comfortable with themselves, and they're more confident to show what they can do, and they become less afraid of messing up. They take more pride in their attempt. They take more pride in themselves, and that they're attempting something great. So it just really has a whole domino effect, which is very positive. And then they do stop trying to be somebody else. And I think this is a huge problem, especially today with social media and things. And like you said in the beginning, especially we work with girls. So especially with girls, comparing themselves to what they see on Instagram and trying to be exactly like someone else, they're going to have less of a tendency to do that, because they're going to just want to be the best version of themselves. They're going to want to be somebody that inspires somebody else by being their authentic version of themselves. They're not going to try to be exactly like. anybody else.
1 second, you see, like how psychologically detrimented can be if you don't embrace your uniqueness and you don't appreciate yourself. For example, remember I told you in the past that they used to make fun of me because I was very skinny, right? And I had competition where I didn't perform well as a young athlete, although I was very good. I fell, right? But the reason I fell is because I got to the arena and my coach turns around and says, hey, skeleton, come here. Like, look at that guy. Look at his biceps. Look at, you know? And then, like, I got from the stress of competing to the stress of I look so hideous, understand? Then I will go to competition and I will be embarrassed to be around those guys because I will be, how to say it, like, not impressed.
You're self-conscious.
I will be self-conscious of how I look in the theater. Understand? What are people in the arena thinking about me? Like, but nobody thought about that. Nobody even like cared about it, you know? And even for me at the time, I didn't have the tools to like explain like that bothers me. I never knew it bothers me. I know now because I'm older, and if I look back and I try to find reasons why I did this and this and this, then now I can look back and I'm smart enough to be like, yeah, that was not. But a lot of my performing in competition as a young athlete came out of that. Understand?
Yeah.
I was embarrassed with how I look. I was embarrassed of my look. I was, you know, and going around those guys with muscles and strong and that, like I would be like intimidated that I don't belong over there. Why I'm there? Understand? And then if I make a mistake on top of everything that I was already feeling, that mistake will just make me feel worse.
But you stuck it out. You stuck it out.
Yeah. I learned. I learned on my own how to do it because that was too.
You glossed over the word. You glossed over the word for people who are just jumping in the series. You were a sickly child, so skinny they called you, and you just said the coach and the teammates would call you skeleton boy. He's skeleton. Yes. I mean, how demeaning.
Cadaver, skeleton.
Yeah, how demeaning.
X-ray. That was one that bothers me the most, actually.
But you pushed yourself through it. You found your authenticity, and you made yourself a champion. That's an astounding story.
So I think for us, though, I mean, since he now recognized how much that actually bothered him as a coach, you know, you realize not everybody is going to stick that out. Then you need to really not ever put someone in that situation. And then if you see an athlete that does feel self-conscious about the way that they look, you need to turn that thought around for them. You know, we are very fortunate that we have a very diverse gym. We say all the time, we have kids in our gym. We could probably cover the world map. We have families from everywhere, and it's
the map. Yeah, you can cover it. I have people from
it's something we love.
Every region, but I think almost every country.
From everywhere.
Like Caitlin, where she was abused because she was the chunky little gymnast. You know, that was such a shame.
So they're all different body types. I mean, we both have suffered within the sport of gymnastics because our body type did not fit what the standard was at the time, and we both were made fun of for it. So it's scarred us. But
you see, I'm going to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Here. What bothers me the most is, like, for example, for me, I grew up in a society that I can look back at my coaches and give them excuses. Understand?
Right.
Because the whole society was like, we was behind the development of the American society by a lot, by 30 years at least. Understand? Then educational, like a society educational, like we was not at the level of America. And it was like a communist country, socialist communist country, like you live in a dictatorial government is different. But for her to live that in America, that's what angers me. Understand? That's what gets me upset. Because I'm like, why? Like, you guys here don't have those things. Like, you guys here are more educated than everybody else. You have a free life. You know, like you don't need to be like everybody else. Like, you have unique.
It's okay.
I said it a few times and now it's gone.
Uniqueness?
You have uniqueness. Okay. Understand? Every person in America is born to be unique. Understand?
So that's a key part of your coaching. You teach people to be unique, not just good athletes. You teach them to be unique.
But that's why I like to teach them to be unique, Mark. That's why I like to teach them to be unique, because I was not allowed as a child to be unique. I had to be like everybody else. I have to be like that little soldier. Everybody has short hair in school. Everybody wears the same uniform. You know, everybody's the same. Everybody eats the same or not. You know, like everybody doesn't have electricity. Everybody doesn't have water. Like for me, like, no, I want to be unique.
Right.
And people have to appreciate uniqueness. Yeah. If someone is smarter than you, guess what? Clap at them. If someone is more talented than you, clap at them. If your child has to work harder to get better because someone is just naturally better, just tell them the truth. Work harder. And then don't get mad. Don't get jealous at the other person. They have something unique. You have to appreciate. You have to respect that uniqueness.
Yes.
And allow the kids to develop it and take it out, understand, and embrace it, not keep it back. Because I'm gonna tell you an example here in the US. I saw kids in America, and I work with kids like that. Very talented. But they are afraid to show it.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to make the other ones feel uncomfortable because they are not as good as them. And then they're going to make themselves perform poorly, mediocrely, and work mediocrely because they don't want to bother anybody else because they want to fall in line. That's not the American thinking process. Should not be that. Wow. That kid should want to be the best. That kid should want to strive, right? I saw girls that are very smart. I work with girls, cheerleaders, for example. I coach cheerleaders. And I have one case, I still remember it. Years and years and years ago. The girl was a genius on math. She was very good at math. She was like classes ahead of everybody, right? She was not very, very athletic, but she was academically genius. And everybody will make fun of her for that fact. And she will feel bad about herself that she was that smart. Like for her, that was kind of like a curse. To the point that one day she came in the gym and she was upset, and that's how I found it out. And when she told me, I told her, honey, no, you are like the Nadia Comaneci of math. Like, what are you talking about?
You have something.
Yeah, you maybe cannot do the Ronda handspring tuck as good as the other girl, but that girl cannot do math like you do math. Right. And guess what? In the end of the day, you're more intelligent. You're going to make more money in life than she's going to make. Then don't let that bother you because she's making fun of you and she's bullying you with your uniqueness, with your ability, with your talent. Like, how can someone bullying someone with their own talent? And you feel bad about the fact that you are that smart. And then she looked at me, she was like, wow. It's like, now I feel different. I said, yeah, because you are unique, you are special. You cannot let someone bullying you with your uniqueness.
I have found that for most people, until they find and discover their uniqueness, they're lost. But once they do, it's a spark that ignites their passion and understanding of what they're really, really good at.
Exactly.
Yeah, because in that moment you realize who you are.
Right.
Understand? When you find I think that's the secret of life in general, is to find your uniqueness. You find your abilities, your talents, you know, what you're good at it, you know, and value that. Because a lot of people, they know they're talented, but they don't value it. You know, they don't work hard enough. They're like, whatever, I don't care about this. I'm going to do that one. It's much fun, the other part. No, use your uniqueness.
Right.
You know, pursue it. Yeah, pursue it.
So that's where your self-worth comes from, and also your value as a member of a team, if you really know where you fit in and what you excel at.
Yeah, it's true. And what I was going to say before about like the bodies and uniqueness and how we have kids from everywhere in the world, I think it's important, and going back to coaches, that you celebrate the uniqueness, even that sense of it, cultural uniqueness, the way you look that's unique, and make kids feel confident about it, because you wouldn't think it, but children become insecure about things that you think they're not thinking about. Like I said, we have kids from everywhere in the world. We've had multiple occasions that even in our gym, everybody's supportive of each other. Once they notice, like, oh, everybody has blonde hair, or everybody's, you know, if we had a girl one time, she was self-conscious because she was Latino and her skin is a little darker. And she didn't like that. I have another.
And I told her one second.
Right.
We're talking about the same person. Right? Yes. And her parents thanks me after, actually, like years after, they wrote me a nice note about it, because it's true. She was so uncomfortable because her skin was brown, right? She has brown skin.
Beautiful.
But
and
she's
she was
beautiful.
little. She was like 8 years old.
And she
You
was
wouldn't
so
think she'd be
embarrassed about
thinking
it.
about that.
She will come to the gym, and I think kids in school too, like kids are kids, they will make fun of her because she was different, obviously, right?
And sometimes
Like,
they don't make fun. They
me,
just
okay?
notice it,
But
and
kids
then it
don't know.
becomes.
And I told her
a
one day,
thing.
I said, you know how much money me and Miss Ashley spend to get that skin color that you have, and we never can get it? Like, I go tanning, and it's $100 a month for me, $100 for her.
Right.
It's $100 on the lotion for me, $100 for her. That's $400 that I
just
spend
to try to look like you.
To try to look like you. And I never can. And you have that naturally. You don't have to even try.
Come around?
Right.
Did she come around?
Oh, she loved her skin then.
She got home, she told her mother, like, she's like, you know what? I love my skin. I look so good. Mr. Michael told me I'm so beautiful. I said, but you are. I didn't tell her a lie.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
true. Like, like I'm going tanning every summer. I'm going to the beach. I'm going to the ocean. For what reason? I want to get tan. I want to have that brownish color, right? To look good, right?
Yeah.
Like, otherwise I look like I'm dead 100 years ago. I look like Dracula, Look at me. I'm like,
she just saw the difference.
Yes.
Exactly. So that's what it is. You have to be able to see the beauty within yourself, not just that you're different. Like, you're beautiful because you're different.
Yeah.
So that's something I think coaches need to be aware of, because a lot of times, you're not thinking about that aspect. And that's where communication comes in too. We knew that because the child's parent told us, not because we came up in the gym.
You see, like when we talk in the past about having a good relation with the parents, like a family relation, that was the type of relation we had with her parents. And then the parents let us know that she was not performing well in the gym a little bit, and then they told us where it's coming from and what problem she has, and that's why we approached the conversation.
That's good.
But yeah, exactly. And then, even with cultural difference, it's like, that's also your chance with routines. If you know you have a child that's fitting a certain type of music, or it would bring them pride to use a music that's coming from whatever their ethnicity is or their family nationality, that's their time to do it and show, like, hey, this is where I'm from. This is what I enjoy. I know this style of dance because my family is from this region. That's your time to do it. Then use the artistry within gymnastics to highlight the uniqueness within each athlete. And then they become proud of who they are, rather than trying to fit in and be exactly like everybody else.
What a blessing to learn that. To learn that through gymnastics, a sport where you start very early. You learn all these life skills much earlier than the average person, who may not pick up on it till they're 20 or 30. They might have these terrible things holding them back. So I think what you do is great on a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's an opportunity to really empower someone to love themselves. And
but now, look, I'm going to give you an example. You have in U.S. gymnastics, you have Lori Hernandez, right? She was not the best girl in that team. She was good, but she was not the best. But when she performed that floor routine, people loved the performing. Even at the Olympic Games in Brazil, I think they clapped for her floor routine more than they clapped for Simone Biles' floor routine.
They loved her, yeah.
Even at these past World Championships, Rebecca Andrade got better ovation than Simone Biles, which Simone won floor. But because Andrade from Brazil, she performed the floor better. Or like, what's her name, the little one? Flavia. Same thing. She got very good ovation because the way she performed.
She captivated the audience with her presence.
With her uniqueness. She used her presence, she used her style, she used her body type to impress with that.
Yeah.
So back to that idea, the idea of becoming a limited edition, actually a one of one. It's not an easy thing to do. And I would say 99.9% of the people on the planet never reach that point. But with you, it becomes part of everyday practice.
Yes.
To become the best you could be.
It does, because you're continually teaching children, especially when they're competing, to be captivating. And, that's very powerful. So they need to think about how they're going to do that. How are they going to make, like when they're doing a floor routine, we always tell them, you want to make the audience and the judges stop what they're doing, even if they're watching somebody else, and watch you and want the routine to never end. because you're so captivating and you're in love with what you're doing. You're in love with being yourself and you're putting your whole heart out there. We spoke about heart before, and he mentioned Lori Hernandez. We do show our girls Lori Hernandez a lot on floor because of the way she performed. And we say to them, like, if she did the same exact dance in her floor routine, but she did it expressionless and she just was going through the motions, would you love her floor routine? Would you want to still watch her? And they're like, no. And then it's like, well, why do you want to watch her? Well, because you could see she loves what she does and she's brave and she's fun. And it's like, you have the power to do that too, but you do that in your way. You don't need to do it like Lori. You can take her example, but you do it like you.
Yeah. You have to be you. You can't be someone else.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's very good. So the idea is, to wrap up your thinking here, the ability to be a role model for for someone else, other than be a copy of someone you idolize. That's a great thought. You're continually striving to be the best interpretation of you that you can. What a great thing to teach a young person.
Yes. And it's a necessary thing for their emotional well-being and then just their success within their sport and within life. So it's important that you emphasize being a role model, and because that's your best version of yourself. That's something that someone else can aspire to. But why? It's not just because you have the hardest level skills or you're the best at doing a particular thing. It's because you're a person that everybody could look at and be like, wow, that's a great person. And you need to make sure they take that away from their sport. What makes a role model? They're a hard worker, but they're kind. They're appreciative of themselves, but they're appreciative of others. They're humble in success, but they're humble in success. They're uplifting with other people. They don't put other people down. Those are all things that can be taken away from their sport. And it's all things that they feel in control of and empowered by. Like, you know what? I might not be the best person athletically on this team, but I can be the best me. I can be a person that everyone loves and admires because of how I condone myself.
You don't have to be the best in the world for people to admire you.
Right.
You have to be the best.
You don't have to, like I told you in the past, you don't have to be the Olympic champion to be a champion in life.
Right.
You have that Olympic attitude and Olympic behavior. The same thing, like for people to admire you, don't have to be the Olympic champion. You don't have to be the world champion. You have to have that attitude that people can look at you and be like, wow, look at that. Look how they move. Look how they talk. Look how they work. Look, especially like we talk about gymnastics, look how they execute a trick,
Right.
You look at some girls, like for example, like now in the past World Championships, there was a girl from China in the floor final. She doesn't have strong tumbling. Her difficulty in tumbling is very easy, but her dance and her move, like people are going to remember her.
Right.
I said, not because of her routine was amazing, difficult, but the way she executed and the turns, the pirouettes she did, and like she was unique that way. She captivated people, and she used her uniqueness. Her abilities are exactly what she used, the artistic part. She didn't have the physical strength like Simone to throw double air, double twist, and crazy stuff like this, but she did enough to be in the world final. But she used her abilities to captivate, which was artistry.
Right. And I think it's important for children to realize that they have this really special power of being able to inspire someone else. And what greater power could you really want to have? Right. And they all have it within them. And it's your job as a coach to help them realize that and help bring that out of them and realize what type of inspiration do they want to be to the world. And then their mind is so open and driven to dream larger and go after their dreams. And they become more ambitious and they become more empathetic of other people and even of themselves. They're more self-accepting and they do go through life in a more positive manner. And they're more appreciative of everything, of their own pursuits. And that's really important. We're going to do another episode on this, so I don't want to get into it a lot, but he mentioned the world championships. And for me, as a former gymnast and as a coach, I love watching every country. Even though, yeah, I'm American, I would love America to succeed. I love watching the girls from everywhere because they're out there, they're going with their heart, they're giving it their all. It is their largest dream, and for a lot of them, the largest moment of their life. And you're watching them pursue it. And the ones that steal your heart the most are the ones that really personify that through the way that they're condoning themselves, the way that they're carrying themselves. You can see that they're taking in the moment and they're appreciating it. They're celebratory of, you know, their best routine, but they're also ready for more if they didn't do their best, and they're not mad about it. They're happy to be on that journey that we talk about in the past. And for me, I was sad watching this world championships because, especially in the team event, is when you saw it the most. As an American, our American team looked angry the whole entire competition, and we won, but we just, you know, we didn't look happy to be there or appreciative of ourselves. And then I looked at teams like France, who had this historic bronze medal finish. And it, you know, yeah, it wasn't gold, but if you just watch their reaction to it, and even prior to the reaction, you just watch them cheering for one another and celebrating their team and building it up. You would never know. And then that's what I was going to mention next. And then Brazil, they had a silver medal finish, but it was like, it doesn't matter that
like
it was
they
silver.
celebrate
They
better than the US team.
Happy. They were so appreciative, and it's not because it was an unexpected medaling. They worked for it and they earned it. And no one should count them out that they attained something that they shouldn't have. They all deserved what they got. What they got. That was my point. Our commentary is very biased to American.
No, I have to, because like Brazil, like they start the competition and they fell on beam. They have two girls falling one after another. And then by the middle of the competition, by the second rotation, there was like 6 points behind the first place, you know. And then the American commentator, I think it's, what's her name? Samantha Petzek. She was like, oh, they are 6 points. They don't like, she was trying to make the lead for the mathematically who is in the first, second, and third, and who's going to fight actually for second and third. She didn't even take in consideration that like someone can beat USA. And she said, oh, Brazil is 6 points. Like Brazil was like off. And then at the end of the competition, Brazil almost beat US, you know, like they got like 2 points behind the US team.
We have a tendency.
If US had one more fall, if Simone didn't do her beam on the before last event, US will lose to Brazil, you know. But even like that, like people have to take in consideration, if Brazil didn't fail in the beginning, they will beat US. You know, then for the American commentators to just disregard Brazil like that.
That's why I said we're going to do a whole episode on it, because we have the tendency to be assuming that we're going to win and that everyone else could fight for what comes underneath us. And it's almost like we've become entitled to win.
Yes.
And that's something that we're going to do an episode on, because this is when athletes do get into that negative way of thinking and they define themselves by gold. So it was sad to watch from a distance this persona and this energy in the arena, because that's exactly what is happening, or is going to one day happen, is that train of thought, because we're kind of counting out everybody else, assuming that we're going to win, and like forgetting to actually appreciate how amazing it is that you got the chance, just the chance to participate in the world championships. So we'll do a separate episode on that, but I think it's very important for, you know, recognizing your uniqueness, being in your moment, celebrating yourself, and really defining who you are and being proud of you at all times, with the good and with the bad. And that's,
you're unique on both, you know, like good qualities and bad qualities, you know,
exactly.
like both sides are unique about you, you know.
Exactly.
Then you have to, that's why I said you have to embrace your uniqueness.
Go ahead,
No, I
Mark.
said uniqueness embraces both. You know,
It
everybody
does.
has good and bad, and better and best and worst, and it's a matter of.
But look, like when you embrace both, you recognize both sides, right? Everybody, like, is no perfect person. Let's put it this way: everybody has both sides. You have a good side and you have a bad side, right? You have an angel and the devil, right? Like in both universe. Like, but when you recognize both, you can help both. You can take the good side, make it better because you know it's there. You know what quality
Right.
you have, and then you know what's your bad side. Then you know how to keep it away from taking control of the good side, right?
Keep you humble.
It's like being an alcoholic, but saying, no, I'm not. I don't have alcohol problem. If someone puts a bottle of Jack Daniels in front of you and you're going to drink it like it was sparkling water, not even because sparkling water is going to bother you, like it was like water. What? I'm not alcoholic. I don't have
Humility
alcohol
is one
problem,
of the
no.
traits that I know you teach people. And I think that's an important thing. You teach them how to fail, how to win,
and
how to lose, and how to be humble either way.
Yes, you have to listen. You have to win, like Ashley said, and I said in past episode. You have to win with pride and humbleness, and you have to lose with pride and humbleness in both situations. You can, because like you cannot be arrogant when you win, and you cannot be arrogant with yourself when you lose, because when you lose, your tendency is to beat yourself down. No, be humble with you, be respectful to you, be gentle with you. Understand? That's why I said be your own idol, because if you are your own idol, like for example, when you watch Mike Tyson losing a fight and you was a Mike Tyson idol, do you think people look at him and it's like, oh, Mike Tyson, he's not good anymore, he's stupid? No, just like, oh my gosh, next time he's coming back, he's gonna win. That was a chance.
You always have hope.
You know what I mean? Like you have that hope for your idol, right? But then be your own idol, because then you have hope for yourself. Even in success, even in failure, you have that hope that no, I can do it, because you are your own idol. That's why you have to idolize yourself, not someone else.
When I talk to people about you, I use the phrase we said that you create champions, and some of them actually win medals. But you make great people. You make great people, and you get.
That's the most important.
What a great thing to do for a career.
Exactly. So, furthering that, okay, because we always want to leave tips for coaches, and that's what we're talking about right now, making great people as a coach. So our tip of the day for coaches is going to be to reach your athletes on a deeper level, get to know them personally, and notice
not by putting them in the water.
Strength.
Sorry. We don't talk about that, to make a disclaimer for people.
Notice their strengths, notice what needs to be improved upon, and approach them in a celebratory way so that they get excited about becoming the best version of themselves.
With everything, celebratory with everything. Even when they do things wrong, if they didn't purposely do it wrong, celebrate the try, the effort, understand? Give them the advice after, celebrate that effort. Oh, you tried, bravo, let's go again.
Right.
Let's try it this way this time, But you try it.
Yep. Celebrate their uniqueness, point out what makes them special. If you have a girl that she's got very long arms and very long legs, then you need to point out, oh, that's beautiful because you have nice long lines and you can be so elegant if you work hard to
don't tell her she's
grace.
not strong and she's never going to jump off the floor.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Celebrate what makes them unique and take the time and the extra effort to do things like create them a unique routine, make sure they're wearing a unique leotard, go the extra mile.
One second, I have to give an example here. 2008 Olympic Games. Nastia Lukin from USA beat Shawn Johnson, her best friend from USA, in the Olympic all-around final. She didn't beat Shawn Johnson. Shawn Johnson was a powerhouse. Was a powerhouse before Simone Biles was a powerhouse. That girl was just built to jump, right? And Nastia Lukin, she was just elegant. She had no power. But she
compared to Shawn.
Even with other girls.
Yeah.
But she beat Shawn, not with Shawn's strength. She didn't beat Shawn Johnson at power. She beat Shawn Johnson with her uniqueness, with Nastia uniqueness. She beat her with elegance.
Right.
Understand? Then she took that uniqueness that she had, that elegance, that perfect execution, right? And she used that and she beat someone who nobody expected in the end of
That's
the day.
right.
They all expect Shawn Johnson to win because she was like the Simone Biles at her time. But she beat her. Why? Because she believes in her uniqueness. She believes in her ability. You know, that's why she beat Shawn Johnson.
Because she didn't try to beat Shawn at Shawn's game.
And
she beat Shawn at Nasia's game.
She did. Yes. She didn't look at Shawn and get like, oh my gosh, she's so powerful, intimidated. Right. She looked at herself and said, you know what? I'm unique. I'm elegant. Right. I'm beautiful. I can execute the routines and impress the judges. I'm going to use that. And she used that perfectly. Right. And she won the Olympics, you know. And she was a weaker athlete. Like if you compare them athletically and skill-wise, she was weaker than Shawn Johnson, but she beat Shawn Johnson. In the end of the day, she's the Olympic champion.
Well, that came also from the guidance of her coaches. So coaches need to realize the strength of their athlete and play to the athlete's strength. Don't try to make them become an athlete that they're not. Use their strength. And then for parents, our tip is going to be to speak with your athlete about what makes them strong and what makes them beautiful. And if they are coming to you with something like they're self-conscious about something, do the same thing, sit them down and tell them that that's what makes them beautiful. And if it's bothering to them to the extent that it's getting in the way of their thoughts when they're trying to go to practice, talk to the coach about it so that they could try.
The coach that coached them.
Right. They could be aware of.
1 second. Parents have to understand that. Talk to the coach that coach your child, not someone else in the gym.
Again, the
not
triangle,
a gym owner,
right?
Not a manager, the person, yes. Right. The person that directly interact with your child in that moment is the person that you want to talk to. Because that's how you're going to understand exactly what they thought when they did or they said whatever they did. And that's how you can help your child understand that person. You don't want to have a middle person that's going to tell you whatever they feel is correct business-wise for them to keep you in the gym and for you to pay the tuition every month.
So the parents
you want to talk direct.
The parents need to give you some insight about the uniqueness that they see in their child. They might not be able to pin it down, but again, that triangle of the parents, the coach, and the child is what makes it, all work.
It's funny for me because in America, like, I see a lot that happening where parents are actually not aware of their child uniqueness.
Yeah.
And they kind of also like afraid. It's exactly what I said a little bit ago. When they are afraid of it, it's like, oh, she's talented. Okay, but I don't want her to go more because then I don't want those kids to feel bad. And I don't,
That's a common
thing in America where
hear,
people
actually.
like, it's kind of like afraid to embrace their child uniqueness, And sometimes as a coach, you have to explain the parent too, how to deal with that, when their child is so special and has something so unique about themselves, That's why my last words all the time is the coach job.
It's true.
The coach is the one that knows the best, and you have to guide the parent correctly. Yes, the parent has to come to talk to you and have conversation, but even that starts from the coach. The coach is the one that puts the tempo. You told me in the past the guy that the music.
That's good.
The guy?
The conductor.
The conductor, yes. The coach is the conductor. He's the one that makes that music start, understand? Then for the parent to trust, to come to talk to you, to have those conversations, the coach has to be the one that starts it.
Right. And then lastly, we always like to leave a tip for athletes, and that is to love yourself and don't try to be anybody else. Don't try to be someone that you're not, because the best thing that you can be is you. You're uniquely you. That's your superpower. And as Michal said multiple times throughout this episode, be your own idol.
Yes. Don't try to be Simone Biles. Try to beat her. You know what I mean? Admire her. Look at her and say, okay, great champion, but I'm going to be better. That's how you have to think. That's a mindset for a champion.
Exactly.
You want to be the best. You want to make that person that you admire becoming your own idol.
Exactly. So, we want to thank everybody for listening, and those of you who have been following along with us, we really appreciate it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel. Please like, comment on the videos. We want to hear from you. If you would like to, please visit our website. It's illuminatingchampions.com and fill out the form on the bottom if you're interested in receiving our newsletter, if you're interested in setting up a personal workshop for your club. And then we are going to be posting some parent workshops that are going to be coming out towards the end of this month. So please stay tuned for that. And athlete workshops will follow. So we're really excited about what's to come. And we are very grateful that this is now our going to be our 20th episode. And we can't believe that we're reaching this point. It seems like it all passed by so quickly. And it's thanks to our great coach, Mark, for helping us out with these episodes. So thank you, Mark, again, for all the help you've given us.
For the audience, you guys are watching.
Thank you, everybody, for listening.
And every time I watch, I look at the watching and I see like 35,000. I'm like, okay, people like me. Let me do another one.
Thank you for the support.
That's my ego. You see? That's my ego.
Remember that humbleness.
No, I'm kidding. But thank you to the audience. I told you I have a big ego. I'm not going to lie. I told you, like, I'm embracing my both sides.
Right.
And I have a very humble side, but I have a very big ego side. And I know both sides very well. And that's what makes me unique, because I know how to work with both.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's, I think, every champion has to recognize both sides.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. And that's embracing your uniqueness also.
Yes. And teach how to use them correctly. You see that, again, we go back to the coaches. The coaches has to teach them how to use those qualities correctly, because every champion, every athlete has an ego. You don't start a competitive sport, and we're going to end with this, but you don't start a competitive sport if you don't have a big ego. You don't want to show someone else I'm better than you if you don't have an ego. Right? You understand? Because if you don't have an ego, you're going to sit down and just watch someone else doing it. It's like, whatever. Like, I admire that person. But you're not going to get in a competition with someone else. Doesn't matter, it's academic, artistic, sports. You're not going to do it if you don't have an ego. Then to not recognize that you have a big ego, then it's a problem, because the ego can start controlling you and turns in negative.
You got to recognize.
That's why it's very important for the coach.
Recognize your potential greatness and strive for it. That's what it is. That's what.
Yes, but it's very important for the coaches to educate the athlete to deal with that ego and teach them how to be respectful and humble, understand? And teach them to respect others and respect themselves, because that ego can also be detrimental to them first. Because when that ego takes control and the athlete didn't achieve that gold medal, they're going to go home and they never come out on the dark. Understand? They're going to go in a very dark side where they're going to tell themselves things that you don't want to hear them. You know, like, and you have to teach them how to understand their ego and how to use it correctly.
Save this, because we'll do an episode on understanding your ego. Okay. But for today, thank you, everybody, so much for listening. And thank you, Mark.
And of course, I have a big ego. Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to Illuminating Champions. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for our next episode.